Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable right here on Facebook at Star Nation's main fan page. It is Wednesday, January 22nd. And so, welcome, everybody. I'm not sure how well the video is going. And so, when you join us, please let me know that you actually can see the video, can hear me. That would be really helpful. And because I don't know if it's my internet or what, but it's a little bit wonky. All right, I'm going to check my phone. Oh, good. We have audio and we have video. All right. Well, I did the refresh. We'll see what happens. Oh, and I can get my other camera back. Hang on. We're going to put the other camera on. There we go. All this technical stuff, right? There we go. Yay! It's kind of hard to show you cards if there's not video showing, you know? All right. So I'm glad to actually be seen. All right. So this is the Spiritual Roundtable, and it's Wednesday, which means that we are taking the divination cards that I drew this morning, and we'll get to have a spiritual conversation about them. And before we get too far down the road, what I did was I actually shared out the show through Messenger to a whole bunch of friends. And so if you feel so inclined, you could do the same thing just to pass the word along, right? That'd be helpful. This is the deck that we're using. It's called Sacred Spirit Reading Cards by Anna Stark. That's the deck we're using. It's a brand new deck, literally. It was just published in the fall of 2019, and I ordered it right around Christmas or so, so it's a brand new deck. We haven't been using it very long, just a few weeks. I like the back of the cards too. That's the back of the book. I love the colors, right? Yeah. And today is Wednesday. We actually have 3 shows on today. It's this show, and then right after this show is Nature Adventures with Minnie Kansman and me. And then later this evening is Polly Joe LeBay and Soul Connections. And so there's lots going on here at Star Nations. Just to let you know, I'm going to have to end the show just a little bit early so that I can run down the virtual hallway and get ready for Nature Adventures show. And so we'll be ending this show just a little bit early. Okay? All right. So we better get to the cards then, huh? We have 2 cards today. And the first card, this is the first card. How many people like owls or have an owl totem? I'm going to show. I have company today too. Yeah. Deborah's here with me today, watching us doing a live show. It's number 28 in the deck. It's about mindful wisdom and to create inner harmony. I'm going to turn off the crawler. Kind of gets in the way when we're looking at a card. There we go. And so we don't get a glare on it. Pull it back just a bit. I think my light is just a little bit too bright. That's the problem. Let me turn it down just a bit. That might be helpful. Take the glare off of it. So mindful wisdom is to create inner harmony. It's about silencing the inner critic. And how many of us have that, right? That inner critic. Yeah. So this is what Anna Stark has to say about mindful wisdom, is that she says that mindfulness is about being in the present moment, consciously aware to bring your presence to the moment. In other words, we're not thinking about the future, we're not ruminating about something in the past, but we're right here, right now, right? And I have to say this, is that when you have electrical problems with your laptop, you're right in the moment. You can't be thinking about anything else but other than how am I going to get this fixed? So it certainly brought me back to the moment. Mindfulness. She says that it's only when you choose to become present that you receive clarity of consciousness, peace of mind, and objective understanding surrounding current issues. To be present, right? And so many times, I don't know if you guys have experience this, but when you've had an issue going on, an event in your life, you're totally present for it, right? Because it's happening in that moment. But it's even moments later, you're dwelling on it. And so you're literally in the past, even though it's only been 5 minutes ago, an hour ago, but your mind is still in the past, going over and over what was said, what was done. And so you're not paying attention to what's in the present moment, right? So many of us would even say we're not even grounded at that time because we're not in the present moment, right? And if that ever happens to you, then you also find that you're dropping things, you're bumping into things. It's because we're not present, right? When I was a teenager, I used to do that a lot. I used to walk into open doors. Yeah, if there was a door that was ajar, my mind was either on something that happened in the past, or I was so far in the future that I was already into next week, right? And I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings, and I would be walking along and smack into a door. So, my mom used to tell me, she goes, that's just spirit telling you to get back to the present. Walk right into a door. But here's an owl, right? And so when you have an owl totem or a power animal that's an owl, some of the archetype of an owl is about that wisdom, right? And that they have keen sight into the dark, silent flight. So mindful wisdom. The author goes on to say that now it's time to journey inwards, to access your inner knowing and personal wisdom through mindful practice to create an equilibrium in your heart and your mind, to bring yourself back to a heart space where you can approach anything with calmness and clarity. So basically, in order for us to have that balance between our mind and our heart, and especially when we're in communication with someone else, is that we can't have that balance between our head and our heart if we're not in the present moment. If we're stuck in the past or projecting ourselves into the future, it's nearly difficult to be able to have that balance between your head and your heart because you're not in the present moment, right? Yeah, I know we have lots of examples of that too. Yep. Hey, thank you, Christina. She says videos and looks good. Thank you. Hey, Annie's here. Hello, Annie. Yes, new cards. New cards. Rob is saying working from home this afternoon, but still finding a slow internet connection with MX. I was hoping for a simple EDI configuration. Well, at least you're in the present moment, because what you just said was all Greek to me. You might have to say that in English. Yeah. Hey, Madonna's here too. Hello, Madonna. Whoops. Yeah, good to have you here, lady. I hope you're feeling better. Speaking of feeling better, I am. I don't know if you watched my show last night, but it was a little bit of a challenge towards the end. I was losing my voice a little bit toward the end of my show last night. All right, so here's the rest of the information coming from the author. She says, when the owl appears in your life, it encourages you to use strong intuition to gain wisdom about matters that you shouldn't ignore. More importantly, self-worth and confidence. Tolerance can be achieved through objectivity and inner peace, acknowledging all our experiences so we can be objective with our emotional and mental processes. Now, I have to say that spirit definitely is on a topic because that's what my show was about last night, emotional maturity and emotional tolerance, right? And that meant that when we are gaining emotional maturity, that we're present in the moment, that we are sitting in whatever emotion that we're experiencing, that we don't run away from it, that we're not stuck in the past with it or projecting into the future, but sitting with it in the moment and getting information from our spiritual team about what is this, what feeling am I really feeling, and you're going deeper rather than going in the past or in the future, right? And so this card is certainly talking about that same message, that same message. So acknowledging all of our experiences so that we can be objective with our emotional and mental processes. And so they're relating it back to that balance between head and heart. She says that this new form of emotional intelligence allows you to physically react using a positive process and method that's beneficial to you and others while understanding the reasoning behind their behaviors. Yeah. So, this card, it's so much about, yes, being in the moment and taking stock of what you're feeling in the moment, expressing your emotions in a healthy way in the moment. Now, many times what we need to do is take a break, to step back. We need a little bit of a pause in there because maybe whatever happened is overwhelming, right? And so those emotions can come in a flood. And so we need to be able to be with it, to stay with it so that we can discern, right? What are those real emotions? And how do I express this? How do I communicate this? And so we're heading back into that emotional maturity. And it's something that no one can do for you. You have to actually experience it on your own to build up the experience so that you have that emotional tolerance. The emotional tolerance is the key to the maturity because you're actually in the emotion. You're not running away from it. You're not saying, I'm fine, I'm fine. When you're not, right? And so this card is certainly, I think, validating that discussion we had last night. What do you think? What do you think about that? Because I think it was, who was it that was talking about emotional intelligence last night? I think that was Dinah. Dinah said something about that. And Carol was also stating some information about that emotional maturity as well. Yeah. And we all of us have experienced some event in our lives where our emotions and the maturation of that, we were given the opportunity to, right? Now, it doesn't mean that we always take the opportunity, right? There's lots of people that it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 80 or 90 years old and not have emotional maturation. You could be 8 years old and have an emotional maturity about it. Well, those are the kids that will try to help someone else that's not feeling well. They're the ones that can kind of sit and wait rather than having the instant gratification, right? So your chronological age doesn't give you emotional maturity. What helps is when we stay in the moment, when we're mindful about that we're choosing it, right? That we're awake and we're choosing that. So the affirmation with this card, I think you're going to like it. It says, I react sensitively to others as I respect my personal boundaries. That's interesting. I react sensitively to others as I respect my personal boundaries. So in other words, you've set your boundaries. You respect your own boundaries. And so because you're used to being in the moment, present, right? That you have the opportunity to learn a lot about yourself. And so what your principles are. You know what your beliefs are. The stuff that comes from your heart, right? And so when you're setting your boundaries, it's easier to stay in the moment rather than having your emotions kind of all over the place, or more in the past, or projecting into the future. And it's probably easier. I'm just going to say it's going to be easier to have healthy boundaries when you spend most of your time in the present, right? Yeah. I don't know. I like this card. It's a great validation for the conversation we had last night. Yeah. And some people, when they look at an owl, they kind of get, because owls have a kind of a reputation, right? Especially in Native America. Owls are messengers, and usually messengers about death. And so, when you see an owl, a lot of people, yeah. So in my mind, I could hear some of the elders saying Hampok. Hampok in Ho-Chunk means owl. And so, growing up with it, they made them into almost like a boogeyman kind of thing, And so just to hear them, you would kind of, you'd get scared, right? It was about fright, about fear. So I had to let go of some of those belief systems, and how I bring in the wisdom of owl, right? Still a messenger. Yeah. Very interesting. Let's see. Rob. What you saying, Rob? He says working. Oh, God, did that one. Sorry. I thought maybe you put the English version in there. But you didn't. I know there's a message coming up. It hasn't hit the studio yet. All right. We're going to go on to the next card. Next card. This guy. Frog. It says shield your energy. This is card number 32 in the deck. Look beneath the surface. Cleanse your space. I'm going to show it to Deborah so she can see it. Frog medicine. So we have owl medicine and frog medicine. Shield your energy. Look beneath the surface and cleanse your space. So frogs, they're amphibians, right? And they actually live both on land and in water. They can survive in both, right? And so they have an ability to adapt to both environments. And the author says is that you can find frogs all over the world. They're not just to one continent or another, right? That you can find frogs all over the world. And here's the thing is that frogs thrive in clean environments. Frogs thrive in clean environments. Now, I know that they're referring to the physical environment, but we have to expand that, okay, to all environments. So they thrive in the physically clean, in the mentally clean, in the emotionally clean, and in the spiritually clean. And how do you get those environments clean, right? How do you clean your environment? You have to do your healing work, right? So the best place to do your healing work is in the present time. in the present moment. So, you might decide that you want to do a healing around some emotional trauma that you've experienced, right? And that's good. And so there's a part of us, that planning part of us, the ego part of us, who does the planning piece, right? So we know that Polly Joe is going to have a show later today, and at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And that might be a good time to do some healing work. And so there's a part of us that puts a pin in that, right? Knowing that that's in the future. And we come back to the present moment to clarify our intentions. We're doing our cleaning work. The author says, in order for you to succeed right now, you must clear and screen your surroundings. Closely connected to the moon cycles, the frog encourages you to release your emotions in a healthy way, washing away any negative physical or mental energies that restrict you from having a positive and peaceful life. Right? So here we're dealing with emotions again. And the frog medicine is coming in to give us a hand with that. And if we really, really want to clear the debris, we have to look deeper than what's on the surface, right? So we may have a situation that's occurred, and there's lots of emotions around it, right? And this is what we talked about last night, is like, especially so soon after the holidays, because whenever it seems that we have a holiday or weddings or something like that, it brings out both the best and the worst in the two-leggeds, right? And so you may have experienced something with a family member or a situation within the family. And you always have those people who explode or explosive, right? And they use their words in kind of a cutting way. And there's others who internalize everything, and they're the ones saying, no, I'm fine. And you can tell they're not fine. The people who are slamming doors or swearing, or, the scene, right? Now, you may have been one of those people, or maybe you were the witness to all of that. No matter which side you're on, you have some healing around that to do, right? And you can only be responsible for your side of the street. And that's about that emotional maturity, is to discern, what was I responsible for? And how do I heal that? How do I clean it up? Part of that cleaning could be the apology piece, right? A heartfelt apology. And so what Frog is telling us is that to look deeper, go beyond what's on the surface, right? Look beneath the surface. There's things that are there that need cleaning up. We're being encouraged to look deeper into a situation to find the truth of the matter. The frog will challenge you to release anything that is holding you back from success. So right now, the gentle energy of the frog totem is requesting you to look deep beneath the surface. Not everything is as it appears. Influence from toxic environments is suffocating your natural gifts and talents that need to be nurtured. So in other words, when we don't express our emotions in a healthy way, when we're suppressing them or suppressing them, what we're doing is we're inhibiting the application of our gifts. And when we do that, our soul isn't being expressed, right? Because that's how our light shines, is that our soul is expressed through the use of our gifts, that we all came in with something for that. So Frog is encouraging us to clean it up. Get rid, heal that debris, clean it up, so that we can actually use our talents and our gifts. So frog is supporting the message from owl. All right, so the author goes on to say, now is the time to take care of your health, releasing emotions and examining your own energy and how it interacts with others. And here's one thing that we know about frogs, right? The sound that they make, and there's different frogs all over the world, and each one of them have their own unique song that we hear. Tree frogs, right? Especially in the spring. Love that sound. And so we're also being encouraged to find our own sacred song. So here's the affirmation. I sing the beautiful sacred song of my heart, clear and loud for all to hear. So frog is all about shield your energy, look beneath the surface, and cleanse your space. Right? I kind of like that frog medicine. Let's get caught up in the chat. And it looks like my chat stopped working. So I'm going to go to my phone. All right. So Rob is saying owls are cool and more effective than cats in rodent control. Yep. They work the night shift. Yes. And so I do know that red-tailed hawks and great horned owls, they share the same hunting territory. And you're right, Rob. The hawks take the day shift and the owls take the night shift, but they hunt the same territory. And so they're sharing that, right? Hey, Kimberly's here too. Hello, Kimberly. And Minnie's here too. She says she loves owls. And Madonna says, doesn't the owl pretend death in some cultures? Yes, yes. And Stephanie's here too. So, you know, what I got from these cards was a really strong confirmation about focusing on our emotions, right? Now, we all have made intentions for the new year, for the new decade. Many of us were feeling this already back in October, right? So right now, today, in the present moment, we are receiving a message that we need to take a look at our emotions, how we express them. Are we expressing them? Are we living in the present moment? Because when we're mindful of the present moment, that we can actually take in and discern those emotions, right? And also to be able to identify what needs to be healed, something that's occurred recently, right? Something that occurred in the moment. And you noticed that either you felt anger or your emotion was kind of over the top, right? Or perhaps it is maybe even the sense of joy and elation, is to notice that too and recognize what was occurring, that emotion came through you, right? Because you're learning about yourself. It also helps us to establish those really healthy boundaries. Perhaps it's even to help us to evaluate our boundaries and which ones do we don't need anymore. Or maybe the ones that we had up were based out of fear. And so now we know better, right? And so we can reestablish a boundary that's based out of love and not fear. So we get all of that from the present, being present in your life, in the present moment. So I'm looking at the time. I want to make sure that we see both these cards at the same time. So as you know, one of the things that we've learned through this show is that in order for us to take in the information that Spirit is bringing to us in the amount that's optimal for us, it's beneficial to be grounded and centered, right? And if you haven't done your grounding today, now's the time. You just pause and do your grounding before I show you the two cards together, all right? And so that you can be present, fully present in the moment for these two cards and really take in the information, both in the physical sense, but also in the unseen, right? Because all that light language, all of that information that Spirit is bringing to us is layered. And so when we are in a grounded state, we can take in the optimal amount that's meant specifically for us individually. Okay. All right. So go ahead and do your grounding. I know it doesn't take that long. You guys have been working at this for almost 2 years. Did you know that? This show, we've been talking about being grounded since 2018. So when you've been doing that almost every day, right? And some people twice a day, right? Is that it doesn't take you long to get to that grounded state. All right. Got to get caught up here. Hey, Marie's here too. Yes, Marie, you made it just in time. Lisa's saying, boy, every time I do a topic with you, you experience it the next day. I know what you mean. All right. So for me, Lisa, it's the opposite. I experience it the day before or 2 days before. And then I get the confirmation about what I just went through because I'm talking to my team and asking them, how do I handle this? What's my next best step? Or how do I get through this gracefully? What do I have to do to learn this lesson as gracefully as I can? And yeah, and then they give me the show titles, the description, and then we get the cards. So yeah, that validation is good though. All right, so take a nice deep breath in, right? On the exhale, you're calling your team closer to you. Now they're always with you, but you're turning your attention to them, bringing them close, asking them to assist you in bringing in the information coming from the cards that's meant for you, for your highest good, right? In the optimal amount for you and your soul work, your soul contract. Okay? All right, here we go. Here are the two cards together. So we started out with the owl. Mindful wisdom, being in the present moment, right? And then frog comes in to back up the owl message. And that's all about shielding your energy and looking deeper than the surface, going deeper. Being in the moment, taking a look at your emotions. How are you expressing them? Are you expressing them? Discerning for yourself what needs to be cleaned up, healed, so that your gifts, your talents, your skills can be used in an optimal way so that your soul is shining through, right? Now, we've been throwing around that word maturation, maturity, a lot in the last almost 48 hours. And we've been talking about emotional maturity. And here's the kicker, is that the emotional maturity affects our entire life, right? And how does it really impact our lives? Is that our emotions are the fuel for our manifestations, for our creations to come into the physical world. So if we're not expressing our emotions in a healthy way, That's like putting the wrong kind of gas in your car. Okay. It may work, but it's not going to work efficiently. Our emotions are our GPS system. That's those gut feelings, right? So our intuition becomes affected. And when that happens, many times it leads to how we feel about ourselves. Are we trusting our intuition? Do we trust ourselves? How do we view ourselves, our self-worth, right? So our emotions are very important. And when we balance our heart, where our emotions lie, and our head, right? And we're living our lives as much as we can from our high heart, from that balanced state. And so on the medicine wheel, it's our walk of life, our earth walk. We start out in the east, and our life experiences go from east to west. So we're going from our thoughts and our mental thoughts to our heart, our emotions in the west. And everything that we experience in that journey, right, is our soul maturation, our soul evolution. That's what our soul came to do, to gather all of the wisdom from those life experiences, right? So that's why it's important to do our emotional healing. Yeah. Makes sense. It's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. And when we're present in our life, are mindful in our life, we get to discern. We get to be able to connect with our higher self, our soul self, that's helping us discern for ourselves when we make decisions, right? All that from 2 cards. Hey, guess what? The chat in the studio is working now. Yay. About saying, how do we do the clearing? Should I ask Spirit what that is? Okay, so what you can do is you can connect to your spiritual team and ask them to show you what's the best way to heal whatever emotional trauma that you're wanting to heal, right? They can lead you to the best healer for you if that's what you need. And it could be an energy worker, it could be a therapist, whoever it is, that is optimal for you to heal whatever that is, that trauma, right? Um, and it could be as simple as you taking responsibility for whatever issue caused that trauma. All right, that's that emotional maturity, taking care of your side of the street. So it's possible that all it's going to take is a heartfelt apology coming from you. Or maybe someone has apologized to you and you brushed aside their apology for one reason or another. And so then you have to look at, how are you receiving the apology, right? Yeah. So it can be everything from a very simple apology to maybe you need to reach out to a healer. Yeah. Thanks for that question, Violet. That was a good one. Marie says, oh, yep, she made it. All right. Rob is saying nitro works well on qualifying runs. Okay, that's a quote from a movie, probably, right? Or a song. Can never tell with Rob. You got to put those in quotations so we know that it's coming from somebody. Kimberly is saying, yes, makes sense. We need to express our emotions effectively. Yes. Yes. But it goes even beyond that, Kimberly. It goes even beyond that. It goes to identifying the emotion. That's that going deeper, right? So if you have a situation that happened in your life and you either was explosive about it or you shut it off, right? You need to go deeper. And what was that emotion and why did I react the way I did? And you're talking to your spiritual team, you're talking to your higher self. to get to the root of the matter, right? And then that way you can kind of start making decisions of, what do I need to do to clean this up? What do I need to do to learn the lesson that's meant for me to learn, right? So yes, it is about expressing our emotions, but it goes a lot deeper than that. That's what Frog was trying to get to us about. Yeah. All right. I'm looking at the time, and we have to get ready for nature adventures. So, if any of the information that was shared today resonates with you, my suggestion is to embrace it, right? Connect with your spiritual team and find out how you can best use the information that you received. And to watch how the energy is flowing around you this week and where this information is going to be helpful to you. And if it didn't resonate with you, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Maybe you're the messenger. Maybe it was all about you delivering the link to this show to a friend, right? And then you're done. You did your thing. And there's always next week's card draw that you might resonate with, right? Yeah. And so before we head out, I do want to share with you a couple of things. I'm so excited about this. We have our online classes that are getting ready to be available to you. Our webmaster is working on getting the registration set up on our website, but this is the classes that are coming up. Hang on, I need to take something down. I need to remove the logo. Let's see. Doesn't want to. There we go. Let's see if that did it. Maybe not. We're going to do this then. Oop. Opposite direction. There we go. Opposite direction. And so this is the online classes that are coming up. It's called A Launch into the Deep Waters of Manifesting. And there's 4 classes. We're calling them Cornerstone Online Classes. These classes are going to get you set up with a good foundation for the in-person class that's happening in May on the East Coast in Massachusetts at the Trinity Healing Sanctuary owned by Polly Joe LeBay. And these 4 classes, online classes, are going to get you set up so that when we take that deep dive during that in-person class, you're going to have a strong foundation about manifesting. So the first teacher up is Maureen Mann on February 10th with the angelic assistance to manifesting. And what she's touching on is that worthiness issue and being worthy for the kind of life that you really want to create, right? And so getting the angelic assistance to clean up the debris around that, to do the healing around that. And so that's on February 10th. The next one up then after that is March 21st with Ed Langen, and that's True Creation and the Law of Attraction. And what Ed's going to be working on is how many of us have tried to use the Law of Attraction and we say it didn't work. And we're frustrated. What do I have to do to get this thing to work, right? So he's going to help us understand trying harder doesn't necessarily mean doing the best work. So that's what he's going to be addressing for us. And then Polly Joe is up on April 23rd with Multidimensional Manifesting in Your Inner Child, which is all about emotions. Okay? Yeah. So, and how our inner child is all about helping us to be able to manifest, not just in the earthly plane that you might be thinking of as a 3rd, 4th, or even 5th dimension, but to be able to weave all of that together. It's going to be a groundbreaking class. I can't wait. And then I'm up on May 3rd with Remembering How to Create. That's the creation of the balance between the head and the heart. We're going to be talking about emotions again. Okay. And so hopefully you guys can join us. It's $333 for all 4 classes. You're going to be able to register at our website, starnations.org. Go to the Academy page and all the information will be there. Hopefully today, got my fingers crossed, and to be able to do that. And here is the information about the in-person class. The in-person class is happening May 29th through the 31st. And all 4 of us are going to be together. Each one of us will teach a deeper dive into the class that we started online. But we're also doing a healing day. That Saturday, we're going to be doing some healing work, which is going to be very interesting, I think, because it'll be the first time the 4 of us are going to be doing that kind of work together. But we're also doing some inner child work. So get prepared to have some fun. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for that. There'll be more information out on the website for that in-person class. Yay. It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, with that, please enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and follow us over to Nature Adventures. And that, you know what we're going to be talking about in that show? We're going to be talking about fairies and nature and winter. Have you ever wondered, do fairies hibernate too? So we're going to be talking about that. Minnie has got the line on that information. And so join us over there for Nature Adventures. We'll be sending out the show links and that sort of thing. So come on over to that chat room and we'll have another spiritual discussion about fairies and hibernation. Right? And if you want, you can join us tonight for Polly Joe's show, Soul Connections. And, that's all about healing and divine messages. Tonight, Polly Joe hasn't been feeling well. And so tonight is just a little bit shorter version of her usual show. If you'd like to have a card reading with Polly Joe, please show up. She's only going to do a 30-minute show tonight. So get there early so you can get your request in for a card and get your reading done. All right? Okay. So, Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.